Hey boys, Brett Leggett from Love the Grind here. Today I want to talk a little bit about dietary fats, or in particular unsaturated or polyunsaturated fats, also known as PUFA, which is polyunsaturated free fatty acids. There is so much misinformation out there, and most of it has no biological or physiological context at all and is just completely false. Well, these oils have been marketed as good fats, while saturated fats have been marketed as bad fats, when in reality the complete opposite is true. The consumption of excess PUFA has been directly shown to weaken the immune system's function in ways that are similar to the damage caused by radiation, hormone imbalance, cancer, aging, or viral infections, and can be linked to a whole host of health problems like diabetes, which we are seeing increasing over the last 50 years since PUFA has been more prominent in our Western diets. It is impossible to have a diet with zero PUFA, but there are ways to limit its intake and avoid the negative effects that they cause without having to completely remove them from your diet. So why are these unsaturated oils so popular if they're so dangerous? Well, basically, it's a whole system of promotion, advertising, and profitability from the huge seed oils industry. Now, let's go back around 50 years ago, right? Paints and varnishes were made from soy oil, safflower oil, and linseed oil, also known as flaxseed oil, which has recently become a new health trend. Chemists then learned how to make these paints out of petroleum, which was much cheaper, and as a direct result, the seed oil industry found their products increasingly harder to sell. Around the same time that this was happening, the farmers were experimenting with poisons to help make their pigs fatter while feeding them less food. So the crops that were grown for the paint industry then came to be used as animal feed, as a cheap way for animals to get fat without the farmers having to give them more and more food. Then they found that there was a massive profit to be made if they could market this product to humans for humans' consumption. So obviously they had to direct attention away from the fact that these oils were very fattening, and so entered the whole cholesterol focus. And that was just one of the marketing techniques used by the industry, but unfortunately it was the one that stuck the most, even after the unsaturated oils were proven to cause heart disease as well as cancer. As C.H. Spurgeon once said, "A lie travels around the world while truth is still putting on her boots." So what are polyunsaturated fats, or PUFA? Examples of products that contain large amounts of these unsaturated fats would be soybean, corn, canola, and palm oil, pretty much any vegetable oil that you can think of. Nuttlex is one butter replacement that I see people use a lot. You'll also find a lot of PUFA in various seeds and in the fats of animals that have eaten a diet containing soybeans, corns, and grains. Pork and chicken and fish products are the main ones here. Beef can also fall into this category depending on what diet it has been fed. Generally, it's recommended that if you want to eat meat, you should try to find animals that have been grass-fed, as they contain a higher saturated to unsaturated fat ratio. As with any product you can buy, if you look at the nutritional labels underneath the fat section, it should hopefully tell you how many grams of PUFA the product contains. There are some instances where the information is not presented, in which case you would just have to make an educated guess from the list of ingredients and decide for yourself. So, what are these problems, and what does PUFA do to your body that is so negative? Ultimately, all system and functions are affected by an excess of these fats. The enzymes which break down proteins are inhibited by unsaturated fats, and these enzymes are needed not only for digestion, but also for production of thyroid hormone. The risks of abnormal blood clotting, inflammation, immune deficiency, shock, aging, obesity, and cancer are all responsive to the ratio of unsaturated to saturated fats. Now, the higher this ratio between unsaturated fats and saturated fats is, the greater the probability of harm there is. All systems of the body are harmed by an excess of these fats, but the main issues to focus on here, and what we're going to talk about, are the hormonal imbalances, which is very destructive, damage to the immune system, which of course is equally as destructive, and oxidative damage. Now, just to be clear, when I say oxidative, I basically mean the process by which these fats are burnt as energy and released into the bloodstream. So let's start with hormone imbalance. This is an incredibly common one, and one that people don't really know that they're even experiencing until they take these fats out and see how different they feel. So in your body, there are different lipid-like hormones and nutrients. Lipids are naturally occurring molecules that make up fats, vitamins, steroids, and are one of the building blocks of the cells inside your body. A lot of these hormones and nutrients are unsaturated, which means they greatly resemble the polyunsaturated fats, or PUFA. In a healthy body that hasn't been exposed to large amounts of these PUFA or vegetable oils, these unsaturated hormones and nutrients bind to the receptors in the cells as they should, creating the desired effects and maintaining a correctly functioning body. So when you do consume PUFA and it is present in your bloodstream, it will bind to these same receptors that the hormones usually would, and it blocks the ability for the correct hormones and nutrients to enter the cell and function properly. Now, as long as your body remains in a fairly unstressed environment, this will only have minimal problems in the short term, but when your body is under stress, it releases protective hormones such as progesterone and pregnenolone. Experiments have shown that progesterone relieves anxiety, improves memory, protects brain cells, and even prevents epileptic seizures. Pregnenolone is essential for regulating stress and one of the major hormones in our brain. Over time, the body can no longer respond to stress efficiently because the protective hormones can no longer function. The polyunsaturated fats bind to the cells, which then blocks the protective hormones from binding and functioning correctly. This creates a whole host of problems, especially with the thyroid gland, which, when not allowed to operate properly, raises estrogen levels and cholesterol levels. This also poses a problem within the pancreas, as the receptors that would normally uptake insulin out of the bloodstream are blocked by PUFA. These cells in the pancreas are destroyed by the polyunsaturated fats, which makes it unable to properly regulate insulin, leading to insulin resistance, eventually causing diabetes. Over time, we gradually lose the ability to respond to stress because of this process of the PUFA blocking the hormones. As we lose the efficiency to respond to stress, we age because we are unable to repair the damage caused by stress. In other words, aging is what happens when your body is not able to respond to stress efficiently and correctly. The blocking of these hormones by PUFA results in an increased rate of aging and deterioration. Now, believe it or not, vegetable oil is actually recognized as a drug for knocking out the immune system. There are products in which vegetable oils is emulsified or mixed in with water for intravenous injection, and they are marketed specifically for the purpose of suppressing immunity in patients which have had organ transplants. They are literally the same oils that we put into our food and have the same harmful effects on our immune system. Vegetable oils and unsaturated fats have been shown to directly kill white blood cells, which is how this effect is achieved. So when unsaturated fats or PUFA become oxidized during the process that releases them into the bloodstream to be used for energy, they deteriorate and become rancid. This process is called oxidization and promotes a large amount of free radicals to be produced. These free radicals are known to cause cellular damage, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, while also causing digestive distress and depleting the body of both vitamins B and E. Some other interesting things to note here is that cancer cannot develop. It cannot develop unless there are unsaturated oils in the diet. Now, it is important to keep in mind that a diet completely free and void of PUFA is pretty much impossible unless you somehow live in some sort of laboratory where they chemically create all the food for you. But reducing the amount of intake of your vegetable oils, of your PUFA, will have considerable benefits to preventing cancer from forming. Heart disease can also be produced by unsaturated oils and can actually be prevented by adding in saturated oils to the diet, those same bad fats that mainstream nutrition would have you believe. So, you're probably thinking now, what the hell can I actually eat? Coconut and olive oil are the only vegetable oils that are really safe because they are saturated and monosaturated respectively, whereas all other vegetable oils are polyunsaturated. Butter and lamb fat, which are highly saturated, are generally very safe, except for, of course, when the animal has been poisoned. A small amount of these oils will not kill you. It is the proportion of them in your diet that matters, your proportion of saturated to polyunsaturated fats. Two incredibly simple ways to make a difference in your body's health is avoid any vegetable oils or nut oils. Yes, that includes peanut butter, guys, and almonds and all those legumes and shit like that. The other one, number two, and probably the easiest one, at least I find, is to use coconut oil or butter instead of the vegetable oils in your cooking. The most concentrated source of these polyunsaturated fats is when you cook with these oils or when you consume something that has been made predominantly with these oils. So if you can replace the vegetable oils, the PUFA, with coconut oil or butter, then you should be well on your way to improving your body's health and maintaining that balance between polyunsaturated and saturated fats. A little extra vitamin E, around 100 units per day, will take care of an occasional restaurant meal where they probably use a lot of vegetable oil to cook whatever in. Now I know this is a lot of information to take in, and it will be a bit confusing at first, especially with the mountain of misinformation and marketing out there that will say the complete opposite. I had to research the biology and the physiology, and it made a lot more sense because I'd been studying hormones in the past, whereas if someone's brand new to this, it may take you a little bit longer to just understand how the body works. There is no doubt in my mind that after taking these steps to limit my PUFA intake, to correct my saturated fat to polyunsaturated fat ratio, I saw an incredible change in my mood, in my anxiety, my stress levels, my energy. Try it out for yourself, guys. Together, we can become something more than we ever thought we could be. I'm Brett Leggett, and I'm out. I'll see you guys next time. So first thing in the morning, I'm preparing my milk of the gods, which pretty much tastes like non-alcoholic Baileys. It's pretty awesome. All it is 2 liters of low-fat